Hi, everyone. Welcome to True Disabled Story. My name is Nico, and I use he, him pronouns. I'm a white man with slicked back blonde hair, large blue and brown spectacles, and a black headset around my head. I'm wearing a blue tie-dye graphic t-shirt. I'm seated in front of a blurred out background. Like about 20% of the US population and 17% of Philadelphians, I'm disabled. Whether we look locally, nationally, or globally, disabled communities are full of dynamic, diverse, and frankly delightful people with their own stories to tell. All we have to do is listen. As many of you know, I was born disabled. I've never known differently. So when I come into contact with other disabled people, either in my personal, professional, or burgeoning civic life, I'm interested to hear their perspectives and their stories. Today, I'm honored to be joined by Vinnie, and I can't wait to hear what they have to share. Hi, Vinnie. Thank you for joining me.
Hi, Nico. Thank you very much for having me.
Of course. So we'll hop right into it. Vinnie, what was your path to diagnosis like? Was this a surprise for you and your supports, or maybe something you were actively pursuing or suspecting? Tell us that story.
Yeah, so I would describe my path to an autism diagnosis as an odyssey of sorts. I was misdiagnosed in the mental health system for 20 years and put on 7 psychoactive medications for a different diagnosis. And I, all I did was sort of seek help. And I had hit really alarming levels of burnout. And I just kind of kept going and going in that system. And it wasn't helping, it wasn't working. I was attending with my parents and things kept escalating. And finally, in 2020, right as the pandemic was starting, a theater colleague looked at me and was like, you know, I think you might be autistic. And this did not surprise me in the least. And what came after that was pro- the more difficult part. Um, and I was born with a unilateral neurological seeing impairment and became hard of hearing in the pandemic. But also, I didn't understand. It's sort of like I was like barreling through life thinking I had all these abilities, and I never thought to myself, wow, you might just have a disability.
Thank you for sharing with me. That really is an odyssey, like you say. If I could have a follow-up question, you mentioned being on different medications for a different diagnosis. Uh, why do you think it took so long for you to get a proper diagnosis?
Um, I'll be really honest here.
Okay, sure.
Misinformation about autism.
Okay.
A large industry based on misinformation about autism. I received a diagnosis that at the time was very popular and stereotypical for girls and women. Um, and, a part of it is the way that my system was calibrating, equalizing that all these methods were coming at me and they weren't helping. And so things kept escalating and I kept shooting sort of all around for solutions. Um, and I think a narrow perspective on what people should look like or what signs of true personal distress are. And I I think people looked at me and made a lot of assumptions about who I was or how I should look, how I should be, and none of them were true.
That sounds really frustrating and even painful to an extent. I'm
Very.
sorry you went through that.
Thank you. This had an enormous impact on my family, on my
Mhm.
parents. It bled through the system, and I work with families now who are in very similar situations where professionals can't see their kids, can't understand what's going on, can't process. And so um, I actually have started training therapists. And the irony was that I was sort of told, like, you will always be in therapy, you will always be on these medications, and none of that is true. And not that I'm anti things that work and help people, but that just was not the path for me.
I can really respect that. That leads into my second question a bit, which is what impact has your diagnosis had on your life? So you've told us about your path leading up to your autism diagnosis. Now here it is, 4 years later. Uh, what impact have you seen since then?
Um, it's like the rug came out from under me completely. And all the pushing and shape shifting and twisting myself into a pretzel. The further that I sort of went, I got like in this narrow hallway and these doors were like slamming behind me, all my
Yeah,
internal resources. So I ended up, um, I'm sorry, can you ask the question one more time?
sure. What impact has your diagnosis had on your life?
Yeah, so I ended up in very severe burnout and a life-threatening stakes and situation because I couldn't get medical care and I couldn't get mental health care. Um, and it changed my life. I finally came to the point where I said, I really have to solve this myself. And like you see with so many people discovering neurodivergence, it starts a large path of unlearning, of processing, of adjusting lifestyle and expectations. And so my husband is actually the same um, profile of autism that I am, and we were experiencing severe burnout together. And so, with the frameworks of, first of all, PDA autism, ADHD, autistic identity and culture, um, I started to really process this for us. And it saved my marriage, it saved my life, it saved my family, and it it made everything make sense.
I
It's
love that.
real healing once I could finally get to a place to start that. Um, it I wouldn't trade it for the world, and I also wanna say that, um, self-identification is completely valid, and self-neurodivergent identification. Um, you could have sat me down when I was 6 years old and talked to me about this, and I would have gotten it immediately. And so my life feels like all these enormous sort of circles to come back to this one thing. And I say self identification is valid for many, many reasons. There are a lot of barriers to diagnosis, there's a lot of misdiagnosis. There are um, once I had a diagnosis, even though it was official and done by a neuropsychologist, it wasn't believed. I mean, it just went on and on and on. And I came to the point, and this is, where really starting to speak out about this. I came to this point where I realized that I am the only one who can know this, who is in my cells, who is in my processes, who can process this for me. And I started to realize about reality and human capabilities of how we, and how we can really see people. And the other thing I wanted to say is that through this work, I've really started to, I mean, my whole mind has expanded about what a human is, about how natural ability and disability are, and what we miss out on when we just sort of interpret the world through this very narrow space. And we miss on the delight and the beauty of so much of this. I'm 41, and the first half of my life was a complete disaster. And now I get to start in a way that can work for me and for my husband and show up in my own way as I need to.
Hey, that's really wonderful. Uh, it sounds like you have some positive outcomes going on, and that's great. It's never too late for a new beginning either. Uh,
It's true.
yeah, just for the audience out there, getting an autism diagnosis can be very frustrating. It takes months and months, and last I knew, several hundreds of dollars. So that's what Vinnie is referring to.
Yes, to say the least. A lot
Yeah,
of
yeah.
barriers.
One of my fellow D&D players in our group went for autism testing, and yeah, they're still waiting for it. So it can be rough.
Yeah.
All right, friend. I think you're uniquely qualified to answer this next question, given that you work with families. If you could go back in your own timeline and give your younger self one piece of advice, or if you could advise a younger person seeking an autism diagnosis, or maybe someone who's just gotten it, what advice would you give?
I'm going to elaborate on what I sort of just said. I would sort of create a little bit of a shield sort of around your body, around your being, and process this for yourself first. Um, it becomes very difficult because many of us are dependent on other people, on other places and systems. Um, and at the same time, expect all the feels, all the feelings, all the processing, expect some serious energetic crashing of what you thought things were or the way things were explained to you, and have you deserve the most gracious, spacious processing space, and take that for yourself. No one can really know. And my let me reverse the question a second. I'll tell you what not to do because I did it. I was convinced that people in my life might understand me or understand the word autism or understand why I had been acting the way that I was when I was an unaccommodated, unidentified, masked autistic person fighting for my life. And I sent my autism report to my friends and to my family. And that opened up all the opinions, all the resistance. This is not necessarily something people can just process. They can't. And so what I'm saying is like cut cut off as much need to be understood. As much as it's true, you do need to be understood, but a lot of that has to start from the inside as much as you can until you're in a space. Um, Also find community where you can, and a lot of that is in online spaces. And there are also a lot of really toxic online autistics and neurodivergent spaces as well. So be open to what is feeling good for you and know that there are people. This was really the piece that I keep coming back to, is that, you know, disability and the disability movement and paradigm and justice advocacy, this could happen because people before me did this work, and people by my side and our side are doing this work. And so there are people who really get it and are paving ways. And there can be a lot of chaos in processing how this is going down. And to kind of circle back to your first question, it's kind of like shock. It's kind of like, oh my gosh, I'm disabled, and was in all of those little moments, and all of those moments coming to a head were made up of miniature disabilities that could never come together and make things work. And I just I think there are a lot of exploration spaces, and people are continuing to create those. So it can be easy to convince ourselves that no one understands, and to confirm that bias because we're in a lot of spaces where people don't understand. And so it becomes about keeping a seed inside ourselves to say, no, people have survived this. People have fought for this. It's there somewhere. So I'm going to find it.
Remarkable. During our time together, I've been consistently impressed with the descriptive language that you use. It really helps paint a picture. So I really appreciate it. I want to use this last question kind of as space that you and I, as disabled people, so rarely get, right? And that is a chance to brag about yourself, celebrate any recent wins or upcoming wins. Heck, maybe you're releasing a movie next week. Who knows? If you're interested in building community online, where can people find you? But just a chance for you to grab your virtual pom poms and hop up on that soapbox. Let's hear it.
This is such a great question. I'm actually really excited to look at your other videos and interviews because I'm really interested to hear what other people say about
Yeah.
this. First of all, online, people can find me or my business at Square Peg Round Souls, SOULS.com. On Facebook, although hopefully not much longer, and Instagram, Square Peg Round Souls. And the big wins, I've been thinking about this a lot. I have finally come to a place, you know, you're going and going and going and barreling to get to any point of understanding. And recently, I got to stop and look back at what I had survived, at the growth, at the acceptance. And just within these last couple of weeks, I've started to say, wow, that's really amazing. And so, where I am now, the big wins are that I'm going to be telling my story and amplifying stories. What happened to me, much of it was completely unnecessary. and maybe also, not that I wish this on anybody, but in like a personal spiritual journey, necessary. And this is a discovery that um I'm really, really, really proud of. And that I think is where the the wins come in, that I've been able to say, to sort of use the diagnosis or use the identification and say, okay, this is what I'm discovering, I'm taking, and I'm gonna see what's here, and I'm gonna apply it to parts of my life and parts of my understanding of life and my own misconceptions about what I thought life was, at least until I was 37 or 38, and to create bridges. And so that's really where the win is. I think we, at least in the United States, a lot of culture, it's like we have to be doing these big things. There's such a pressure to be big and to make so many big things happen. And what this sort of journey odyssey has been about is capitalizing. I don't mean money, I guess. I mean understanding value at its base level. And that has meant understanding that change comes in the tiniest forms, in the moment to moment things, and personal change, I would say, personal growth. And it was just such the opposite of what I had been taught. And so I'm going to talk about one more win that I just think is, it's been the most satisfying because it was such a shift. And that is that I've learned how to just be okay with just very basic things. And that means that, like, when the door opens and it creaks, like, I will just, like, be fascinated by that. And I will just sit there. And so it's, or like looking at a tulip, looking at the colors and being able to absorb that. And so it's using the autism, using my perspectives, my deep experiences of things. It's been opening the space within myself to be able to process that for what it is, which is beauty, as opposed to what it was before, which was just, oh, these things are just happening and it's just never. No, it's that the whole, table has turned, and you're the first person who's ever asked me that, and it's a really helpful question. I think we fight and fight and fight and never stop to look at, "Whoa, what have we done? What is different, and how have we better impacted ourselves and others in our lives through this process?"
I love that. It sounds like your new beginning is one with more acceptance and less resistance. At least that's what I'm hoping for you.
Thank you.
Vinny, yeah, sure. I've enjoyed meeting you, and I really appreciate your answers. I think this will be a very valuable video addition to the project. So wherever you go, whatever you do, I'm rooting for you, and I can't wait to see what you do next. Thank you again.
Thank you so much, Nico. This was great. Thank you.
Sure.